Alright guys, welcome to your 7th Premiere Pro tutorial, and in this tutorial, now that we know how to apply effects to our video clips, I'm going to show you how to adjust and alter the effects, and it's probably going to take a couple tutorials, so just stick with me. So let's go ahead and apply a simple effect to this video clip. Let me get something that's very apparent, and when I say alright, I probably should mention this first. When I say we're going to apply an effect and then we're going to change the settings, you're like, alright, if you have the effect on there, what the heck do you need to change? For example, if we apply contrast to this clip, we want to tell the program how much contrast. If we want to say, alright, tint this video clip blue, we're going to need to tell it how blue or how much blue to add to it. So each effect has a bunch of settings to go with it. So let me make something that's really apparent. So let me go to video effects and let me look for something. Stylize, these are some really obvious ones. And posterize, if I can find it, I remember that one. Go ahead and drag this over to your video clip and let go. And what this does is it takes that clip and it makes it into a poster, or at least it tries to. Actually, if we go ahead and turn this off, you see this Red Hot Chili Pepper poster? That's a really good example that this would be what it would be previously, like this Foo Fighters one, a real life photograph, and we would want to posterize it. So this is actually a really cool tutorial in that sense. We're going to turn this into this. So let me go ahead and if we can see, if we maximize posterize, we see a setting called levels. Now it's pretty much saying, alright, how much do you want to turn it from reality into a cartoon? So if we go ahead and give it something like 66, this is getting towards more realistic. However, if we bring down the setting, and by the way, if you hover over it, you can click it and change it manually and hit enter, or you can just go ahead and click and slide left or right like this, and it'll change it just like that. So for example, if we change it to 3 or 4, check it out, and now looks more like a poster. So this is a real quick example of how we can change a setting on an effect depending on what we're going for. Now posterize, to be honest, I don't really use a lot. This is like kind of an effect you use if you're making a music video in the 1980s or something. So let me go ahead and show you guys how to do some things real quick. If you ever are working with an effect and you're not quite sure if you want to apply it to your final video or not, you can go ahead and hit this little FX button right here, and this is going to temporarily hide it or turn it on. So let's say, do I want that? I'm going to go ahead and turn it off, on. Okay, what one looks better? Turn it off and on and off and on, and that way you can kind of see, kind of preview it without having to delete it permanently. However, if you do want to delete it permanently, all you have to do is hover over the name, which is in this case posterized, and hit delete, and there you go. Your effect is gone for good. So again, posterize isn't the best effect, but let me show you guys an effect that I use every single time on every single video I ever made, and that is under adjust. If you go ahead and apply levels, and I'm just going to go ahead and drag this to the effects controls and drop, we get to mess with all these levels. Now I only mess with the top two, black and white, and this is pretty much customizing the contrast of your video. Now I don't know how good this is going to pop up whenever I do a YouTube tutorial, so I'm going to kind of blast this out. What this is pretty much is asking you is, I'm going to make the dark pixels darker by going ahead and sliding that over to, I don't know, let me say somewhere around 20, and I'm going to make the light pixels lighter. So this is at 255, which is the very top. I'm going to go ahead and drag this down to 240 or something like that. And I don't know how good this is going to appear. Let me go ahead and blast this even more on YouTube, since I kind of have to process this video, then upload it to YouTube, then you watch it on YouTube. So make sure you're watching this on full screen so you can see the difference. Again, you never really are going to use posterize. That's kind of a fun one, but this one is really good if you want to take any video that you filmed with your Handycam and turn it into an instantly better looking video clip. Let me go ahead and turn this effect off, and you see it kind of looks washed over, glazed gray kind of. Now turn it on, and suddenly the contrast just pops out. The darks are darker and the lights are lighter. So again, that's the beauty of levels. And let me go ahead and blast this even more. See, it pretty much lets you customize the contrast. Now, again, I wouldn't ever want to do it this much. This is just so I want to make sure you guys can see what's going on YouTube. But that is one that I use a lot. So guys, don't forget levels. It will come in handy. So let me go ahead and delete levels. And if you noticed, before you even apply any effects at all, any video clip you select has some effects that are already built in. And you're saying, alright, where the heck did these come from? I didn't apply these ones. Well, the reason they have these is that they're common to every single file on Premiere Pro. They all share the same four basic effects, and that's motion, opacity, time remapping, and volume. Now, some things like pictures and titles, they don't have volume or audio, so they aren't going to be there with this. But motion, opacity, and time remapping is all the same. Now motion, if we go ahead and scroll down to the sub effects, we can see that it pretty much changes the position of your entire video clip. So you usually just want to leave that the same. However, if you're messing with it and you're like, alright, I accidentally hit something, I got that messed up, just go ahead and hit this button right here, and that's going to reset everything to normal. So again, I never really touch motion. Opacity, however, is something that's going to come in handy a lot whenever you're wanting to fade. Now, it's pretty much a transparency of your video. Now, if we just went ahead and shut off all our videos, you would see that it's black. We just have a black video behind everything. So, the transparency, whenever we put it down to 0, it's pretty much going to say, alright, it's totally see-through. If we fade it up to around 50, then it's going to be able to see some of the black behind it. And if we go ahead and turn it to 100, it's going to be totally opaque. So that's what opacity is, pretty much a transparency for those of you guys who didn't know. Time remapping is pretty much the speed, how fast your video is going to play. It's pretty much whenever you're working with slow motion or you want to give it the speeding up effect, like a fast forward effect, maybe in a car chase scene, this is when you would use that, but I really don't like to use it that much. And the volume, of course, whenever you, I don't know, maybe you want to just totally shut off the volume, or maybe you're playing a song and you want it to fade in, that's when we're going to be working with these volume effects right here. But for now, I don't really want to get into it into the next tutorial, and then in the next tutorial I'm going to show you guys how to work with something called keyframes, and it's going to make it a whole lot easier. So in this tutorial, I just want to point out that yes, indeed, there are 4 built-in effects already, and that's what they do. And aside from these 4 built-in effects, you can also apply other effects, and whenever you do, you can go ahead and change the settings of those effects by just expanding and changing the settings like that. So with all of that, that should keep you busy for a while, but once you're done messing around with the effects, make sure to check out my next tutorial where I'm going to be talking about how to work with keyframes, and that's a whole nother world. And once we learn how to work with keyframes, that's all there is to cover with effects. So I know there's a lot to cover with effects, but trust me guys, just applying some simple effects to your video can make a world of difference between the video quality, between something that you go and shoot out and it looks like crappy YouTube quality, to professional, expert looking video. So I'm going to be showing you some tips later on, but definitely stick with me, watch these tutorials, and you're going to be a pro in no time. So thank you for watching, don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you later.